So June 7th, he says, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I darn well want, file it wherever I want. And then June 30th, he says, no, I can't. What happened in between those two events? Your testimony went public. He goes, oh my goodness, I got to change my story because now the truth's coming out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into an absolutely critical moment in a judiciary hearing that's been making waves. We're talking about Congressman Jim Jordan's intense grilling of a whistleblower in a high-stakes investigation. It involves the Hunter Biden case, Department of Justice decisions, and some serious questions about changing stories and authority. Stick around because this one gets deep. So here's where it all begins. On June 7th, this whistleblower, Mr. Shapley, says he received a letter from David Weiss telling him that he had been granted ultimate authority over the Hunter Biden investigation. That means responsibility for where, when, and whether charges would be filed. But fast forward to later that same month, June 30th, and suddenly Weiss sent another letter changing his claim saying, nope, I don't have that authority after all. Now here's the kicker. Between those two letters, something happened. What happened in between, you may be asking? Well, it's when Mr. Shapley's testimony went public. In front of everyone, suddenly the story changes. Congressman Jim Jordan digs into this during the hearing, asking what happened in between those two dates. Well, it's interesting. Mr. Shapley says once his testimony went public, David Weiss, the United States attorney, had to change his story. He goes from saying, I'm in charge, to suddenly backing off, claiming he didn't have that authority. Makes you wonder and think if something fishy is going on, and Jim Jordan isn't buying it. He says it's obvious what happened. After having discussions with the big folks at the Department of Justice, Weiss had to change his tune.
In the first letter on June 7th, he said, I have been granted ultimate authority over the matter, including responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether to file charges. The quote that the ranking member just put up. Later that same month, he sent me the second letter where he said, no, I don't. No, I don't have that charging authority. So June 7th, he says, I'm the boss. I can do whatever I darn well want, file it wherever I want. And then June 30th, he says, no, I can't. What happened in between those two events? Your testimony went public. He goes, oh my goodness, I got to change my story because now the truth's coming out. And it sounds like in this investigation to me, Mr. Shapley, that the prosecutors and the investigators were in agreement for most of the investigation, and then we get to October of 2022. I see Mr. Ziegler nodding his head. And that meeting is where David Weiss told you something. Is that right, Mr. Shapley? What did he say? Can you put your mic on there? What did he say?
Yes, he told me he was not the deciding person on whether or not charges were filed. He told us that D.C. U.S. Attorney had declined to allow charges. He told us that he had requested special counsel authority from Maine DOJ and denied that authority.
And was denied.
That's correct.
Mr. Weiss was consistent with the investigators up until this October 7th meeting, and then he changed. What do you think happened, Mr. Shapley?
I mean, I don't know what happened internal at Department of Justice, but what I can say is that the story has been changing from Department of Justice and U.S. Attorney Weiss, and I think the only person that's really had any documents that have been corroborated are my own.
Exactly. I think what happened. I think it's obvious. Anyone with common sense can see what happened because he said it in Mr. Graham's letter. He said, I had discussions with Maine Justice. I had discussions with the folks, the Deputy Attorney General, the attorney, whoever it was, I don't know, but he had discussions with the people at Maine Justice, and suddenly things change. And that all became evident on October 7th. And until October 7th, the investigators, to Mr. Raskin's point, the investigators and the prosecutors, they were in agreement. Here are the facts. Here's how we do it. Here's how we've always done it. We got the two best agents in the place on the case. Let's go. And then shazam, something changes.
So, we're left wondering what really happened in those discussions at the DOJ. But here's the thing. The investigators and prosecutors in the Hunter Biden case were in agreement right up until October 7th, when things took a sudden turn. And we all know what happened right around that time. Shapley and the other investigators started talking. Coincidence? I think not. So, what do you think? Is it a simple miscommunication or is something bigger at play here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. It's pretty clear that once the whistleblowers came forward, the story from the DOJ changed. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into these major political events. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time with more analysis and updates on this unfolding story. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll catch you in the next one.